Welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in today. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition. If you just were fumbling with the radio and driving down the highway or whatever, keep your eyes on the road. Don't change the dial. Stick around for a little bit. Something may come up that will be of interest to you. You never know. Or could make a difference in your health, your wellness, or your well-being, or your life. You never know. Things bubble up around here.
I got cramps in my feet this morning from running.
Running?
Yeah, I was on the elliptical, and I started getting cramps in my feet.
You need to drink more water.
That's simple, huh?
Well, it could be. You're dehydrated. Sometimes it will manifest in your legs or other parts of your anatomy, but now you are carrying a lot of weight, so that's a lot of pressure. But if you're getting cramps, you could be dehydrated.
Yeah, my shoes are screaming when I'm running. I'm telling you, they're like, "Oh, help me!"
I get it. Drink some water. Drink more water. I hope your day is going well, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. We're coast to coast, and we are global. The show streams, up onto 4 different platforms live: Facebook, YouTube, our website, and then the company that launches it up onto these platforms. And it is global. It's Let's Talk Nutrition, Health Talk Radio for the 21st century. And if you call in today or any other day, Gary figured out how to stream you, if you so would like. Takes a couple of minutes, not even that. It's easy. We'll make you a movie star. That's a nice feature. Those two, the technology certainly makes the show Health Talk Radio for the 21st century among other features of the show. But nevertheless, here's how you get in touch.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255, 877-897-8255, or anywhere in the country or the world at 813-636-8255. Don't forget to follow us on Let's Talk Nutrition on the Facebook, at Let's Talk Nutrition on Instagram, and LTN Radio on Twitter.
There's a number. Dr. Crisafi will be my guest in the second hour. And his first hour is open, so you can call and share whatever question or whatever's on your mind. And you can call anytime. I was thinking about the show for today last night, and what crossed my mind and what was on my mind was the messaging, the communication that exists in the arena of health, wellness, and well-being. And sometimes the paradoxical messages that exist and can create confusion for people. And it gets a little complicated. I'll see if I can get into it. If I don't get into it today, I will maybe tomorrow, whenever I have a window to do it. But we often put people in double binds. These paradoxical messages put a person in a double bind. That would need to be explained. And this implicates the whole notion. This is communication theory, but it has application to health messages. And I think sometimes, with good intention, some of these messages do more harm than good. So if I get to it, it's an interesting area. I need to explore it more, given my background and training. My PhD's in communication, so I have an interest in it. You would too. We all may have been subject to these paradoxical messages. So, but what else was on my mind? I'm in the process of writing writing some promos for the show. And I do a health message on a couple of other stations. And the one that I'm working on now is how to boost your energy. And I thought I would chat with you about that a little bit today, and the whole concept of calories and energy. And right now, in the mass market, energy drinks, and even in the natural products industry, energy drinks are a big deal. I don't know what the sales figures are on energy drinks. That wouldn't be too hard to get. But it's formidable. All these beverage companies are really capitalizing on it. And that is, the lack of energy is one of the most common complaints that people have. Sometimes they will go, when they go to the doctor's office, they will bring it up. Oftentimes people don't do it, and then they self-treat. They get into self-treatment, and then that gets them down a road that can get them into a lot of trouble. Some of these energy drinks, are fuel indeed. Launch, you could put them in a Formula One race car or launch a rocket ship. I mean, they're unbelievable.
I always think about Willy Wonka and that car they had that had the fizzy bubbly car. Every time I don't know.
Well, yeah. In this building, I walk around, I walk by people's, and I see cans, I won't mention any particular brands, of energy drinks. We may even have some in the vending machine. Stephen would know, I guess. I don't know. Do we? He thinks so. We'll have to check. They got every other junk food and beverage in the building. And they are, some of them it can be dangerous for people. If you have high blood pressure, for example, and you do some of these, again, I don't want to mention any brands, I don't want to get in trouble. You could get yourself into a little bit of a jam. So you have to be careful. So I'm going to focus on that in this first hour. Dr. Crisafi, whom I know pretty well, he's going to call in from Canada, is going to be the guest. He's very smart, lots of experience. He has sort of how can I put this? What's the coach for the Seahawks? What's his name? The football coach?
Holgram? Is it a Holgram?
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll, yeah. Pete
Carroll sort of, he doesn't look like a football coach, right? He sort of has this GQ approach. He looks like he stepped out of GQ and has this approach to coaching, this sort of easygoing, modern. Yeah, Dr. Crisafi is sort of like that, not real heavy, but knows what he's doing. We'll see what's on his mind. Fatigue makes fools of us all. It robs you of your skills and your judgment, and it blinds you to creative solutions, close quote. Boy, is that true or what? Makes fools of us all. When I was in high school, had a cross-country coach, Mr. Davis, ex-drill instructor, Marine. Called him Stinky Davis behind his back, a little cigar out of his mouth. And he would always say, when you get tired, your tendency to be a coward is greatly increased.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day. giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Fatigue. And just to put a little cap on that comment I made going into messages about our cross-country coach, what he meant was that being fatigued, being tired, would turn you into a coward. You would give up. In cross-country is difficult. Cross-country running, if some of you have tried that, it's not easy. And the tendency, we have marathoners, and of course now it's very popular to run these long races. And when you get fatigued, what do you want to do? You want to walk. Man, that would drive him crazy. He said, I don't care. Don't walk. Slow down, but don't walk. Yeah. And when you get fatigued, that's what happens. So that quote, fatigue makes fools of us all, it also can turn you, cause you to give in and give up. Whether that's, not only in cross country, but at work or with the children or in your relationships, you get worn down and you just give up. You don't have the energy to sustain the effort to deal with the issue or the problem. So it's not just a feeling of tiredness. This has great implications for the quality of our life and how things unfold and how we manage things. The expression, you're talking about somebody say that person just wears me out, right? That expression just wears me out. And literally, in some instances, that's what happens. A person will just flat wear you out, meaning you have no more, you can't deal with it. I suspect this led to more than a few relational breakups, right?
Yeah.
Right? People are of high maintenance. They require a lot of attention. They're high maintenance, as the expression goes. They wear you out. And sooner or later, you're so fatigued from it all, you just say, the heck with it, I'm out of here. So it moves, certainly there's biological and relational, psycho-emotional implications involved with being fatigued. Then you have chronic fatigue syndrome. Fatigue can be cast as an illness. And then you have other renditions of it, if you will, where people are just tired. Fatigue can be caused by any number of reasons. You could be physically sick. Cold, flu, some other health issue. Medications can cause fatigue, a side effect. Not getting enough sleep and rest. Not exercising enough can cause fatigue. Eating too much can cause fatigue. Eating the wrong foods can cause fatigue. Maybe initially with some of these fast foods, you'll get an energy boost, but then you have a crash. And you notice at Starbucks, around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, business picks back up. People are in there to get a caffeine hit. I was trying to find some statistics on the prevalence of fatigue, and generally I walked away concluding that it's a frequent complaint people make when they go to the doctor. Being sleep deprived, it'll just do you in. You know that. You've experienced it, I'm sure. Overwork, stress will just sap the energy out of you. Chronic stress, and then you get into a vicious cycle. You're trying to counteract the effect of the stress and causing you to feel fatigued, so then you proceed to do what? Eat those foods that give you, or drink those beverages that boost you, but paradoxically then dump you, if you will, into a downward spiral and fatigue spiral. You can see how this, and modern life, this is not uncommon. This feeling of tiredness, it is so prevalent now that they now have identified a syndrome for it. Tiredness. TATT. Know what that is? Tired all the time. I kid you not. It's a legitimate syndrome. TATT. Tired all the time. That's a dreadful way to live. From morning till night. And if you think that there are people walking this earth that don't experience that, think again. Then they turn to prescription drugs. That takes you down a whole nother road. And then in order to sleep, they'll take drugs for that. It can spiral out of control. And this fatigue is just generally and by the way, fatigue is a person's subjective feeling of tiredness. We can't measure fatigue. I can't put a cuff on you like for blood pressure or do a blood test and say, Gary, your blood test shows that, you got a lot of fatigue. I have to rely on his self-report. It's a symptom. It's not a sign. It can be a symptom of the various variables or factors that I just mentioned. Not enough sleep, not enough rest, not enough exercise, eating the wrong foods, too much stress, and having toxic people in your life.
The perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement, or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
fatigue, tiredness, T-A-T-T, tired all the time. So I identified some causes, how it can affect quality of life, that it's not just biological, has biological complications or implications, but psycho-emotional, relational, and so on. And it can cost you your life. If you look at the statistics on car accidents and people being fatigued and trying to drive, it's off the chain.
I know that's the reason why.
You're a police officer.
Well, DOT came out with the 10-hour rule that truck drivers could only drive 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to take, I think it's 10-12 or 10-8, and then they have to reset their days after so many hours. So where they have to, they're mandatory to take time off because of the fatigue.
Absolutely. And again, just a sort of a general loose definition, fatigue is a subjective feeling of tiredness, experienced as a lack of physical, mental, or emotional energy, or all three. So, what can you do about it? There's much I could tell you, and so we'll have to just sort of sketch it. This is sort of like an impressionist painting, just sort of light. You have to keep moving. Even though you don't feel like exercising, that's when you should.
Yep, this morning I didn't want to get out of bed, and I was like, I've got to. I have to.
You felt better once you went to the gym. And you have to, I'm telling you, being sedentary contributes to fatigue. So if you find a way to muster the will to keep moving somehow, some form or fashion. 2, sleep and rest. Very important to get it. We talk about it a lot on the show. Visit letstalknutrition.com. All the shows are archived, videos, audio, it's all there. Your diet. The temptation becomes great to eat junk food when you're fatigued. That's the body's pushing you to do what? Go get calories. It's instinctive. And the body, when it's fatigued, will crave those foods that are not, you're not going to be reaching for a carrot. I can tell you that. Ice cream, candy, soda. Gary, I remember in my presentation today, I mentioned that these energy drinks are prevalent. And here in the building, I said we have a lot of junk food and junk drinks. What did you find?
13 rows of energy drinks in the big machine up front.
In the kitchen. 13 rows of energy drinks. And they will sell them, believe you me. They don't even need to put an expiration date on those products. Also, if you find yourself in stress, and again, I'm just sketching, I'm just identifying, how can you address this? Diet and lifestyle. Stress, big variable factor in causing fatigue, and you have to learn how to manage stress. If you have to take a workshop, something. You say, well, I can handle it. Well, if it's chronic, you've probably got chronic fatigue too. Your job, usually, financial stress, relational stress, toxic people. What did you say to me off air about when I said toxic people? And we were heading into messages, I said, and toxic people will drain you of your energy. And what did you say?
They will. You can walk into a room with toxic people and not know it. By the time you leave, you feel like the lifeblood's been sucked out of you.
This happens at work often.
Yeah. I hate being, I hate being around people that are always negative.
That's toxic.
That is. And
judgmental. If they're judgmental and negative, right?
Yes.
It's tough.
I don't even like to have negative conversations.
I know you got to talk about, I know.
You talk about having a negative conversation with somebody, and it drains you. And
that's why some people are conflict averse. They don't even want to deal with conflict. That's not good either. But
okay, when we went to Baltimore,
yes,
we walked away from somebody, and we both looked at each other and went, "Oh, glad they're gone."
Exactly. One thing I learned over this past year, you certainly want to avoid toxic chemicals, and you want to rid those chemicals from your life, because they can cause cancer and other diseases, and you want to rid toxic people from your life too. Sometimes that's a little harder to do, but nevertheless. So changing your diet and your lifestyle in the ways that I'm suggesting here. Keep moving, eat a more healthy diet, try to manage the stress, get some good sleep and rest, associate with others that are optimistic and, are full of energy. That's why I like being around young people. It's depressing. You live in a neighborhood and you drive home and and God bless them, these people sitting in their driveway. I don't like that. And they're sitting there all day, man.
Yeah, staring at the other neighbors.
And they just talk, they have nothing. No, thanks. I can't do it.
Okay, I know what you're talking. Okay,
you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So.
That's reminded me, yes, I remember, yes.
All right. Now.
That is the old going to the fence line.
Yeah.
And
it's why in nursing homes they have all these activities.
Right.
And keep the people moving, all these different groups and this and that. It's important. Now, there's also, from a nutritional standpoint, supplements that you can use. And I have a lot of ideas about that. You can walk into a health store and they will have whole sections devoted to energy. For example, now, Neil Levin was on the show yesterday. If you go to Now Foods, go to nowfoods.com, you will find they have a lot of products. They have one that's called Energy Boost. I'll see if Gary can find it. The ingredients in that product are pretty darn good. They put together a constellation of ingredients that will indeed boost your energy. There's PQQ. There's B12. We'll come back. I'll tell you more. There are supplements to take that can help. They are not the panacea, and they're not the end-all and be-all, but they can help.
Don't be stressed out or anxious.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
diminished communication skills, decreased productivity, reduced attention and vigilance, inability to handle stress, reduced reaction time, loss of memory, increased forgetfulness, increased errors in judgment, increased tendency for risk-taking, inability to respond to changes in surroundings, increased sick time, absenteeism, rate of turnover in a company, increased medical costs. I could go on. Increased accident rates. What am I talking about? Those are some of the outcomes or consequences of fatigue. So we're talking about that today, fighting fatigue, how to boost and sustain your energy levels. I suggested some diet and lifestyle things that you can do. And by the way, in terms of diet, let me set to the context here. The body is an energy machine. You can think of it as an energy machine. And it's the human body, an energy machine using, storing, and recharging itself with energy. And its first priority, the body's first priority, is to satisfy its need for energy. That supersedes everything. Everything your body needs to physiologically, to do physiologically, and everything you do with it requires energy. Everything. Even the blink of an eye or a single thought. Moving your little finger. Energy is the body's currency for you to function. So where does it get it from? Answer? Food. Food in the form of carbohydrate, protein, and fat is the body's raw material for energy. Food equals energy. Energy equals calories. So now we have it. So, and the premier energy currency in the body is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. The body is constantly, and I mean it never stops, constantly seeking to synthesize ATP. All energy extracted from carbohydrate, protein, and fat is used to replenish ATP. All of it. It's an energy-rich molecule, but only a small amount is stored in your tissues, approximately 85 grams or 3 ounces. Only enough energy to fuel running full out for a few seconds. That's it. So the body has to keep making it. By the way, no ATP, you die. Therefore, ATP, as I said, and I emphasize, must be continuously synthesized, made, to allow you to physiologically, psychologically, and any other way function. Period. This isn't complicated. It's biology. So, it is an energy machine. How do we fuel this? Well, from a diet, I've talked about that all the time. Supplements can help. And there's a number of products out there that are already ready-made and don't put you at risk. They don't put you at risk. And by the way, being dehydrated is another factor that can cause fatigue. I'm just saying. Just so you know.
Drinking soda is not the same as drinking water, right?
No, it's not. And have you ever consumed a soda and then you're still thirsty a few minutes later? Right.
Why?
Because it's not water. That's why. It's not going into the cells. 60% of your body is constituted of water, man. By the way, that's about as much as it's on the earth, too.
coincidence.
Is it? You need free water, as the biologists say. You need free water to satisfy that dehydration. Electrolyte imbalance, water gets implicated. The soda doesn't help with making of electrolytes or correcting the electrolyte imbalance. So you get my point. Now, in terms of these supplements, Now Foods has a product called Energy Boost. These are just examples. And that Energy Boost product, were you able to find it? If Gary can, no? You couldn't go on their website?
No, because there's...
Oh. They have a product called Energy Boost. And the ingredients in there, there's a bunch of them. And all of the ingredients, in some form or fashion, one way or another, contribute to the synthesis of ATP. It's a darn good product. B12. Another product they have is called B12 Instant. The title of the product is Instant Energy B12 Packets from Now Foods. That also is good. Then they have a product called PQQ Energy. And then there's any number of freestanding ones. They have ribose, pyruvate, any number, amino power pre-workout. They have a whole bunch of sports products that are designed and intended, formulated to boost energy, i.e. synthesize ATP. That's what all these products are doing, man. It's about the ATP. Now, you can get false stimulation through some of these medications and energy drinks and whatnot. This is a healthier route to go. Nicotinamide riboside. Dominique Ostrander was on just the other day from Jarl Formulas. That's another energy booster. L-carnitine, B vitamins, a good B complex added to your day-to-day nutritional regimen can help boost energy. CoQ10, an excellent energy booster. And also having a good time. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Daniel Crisafi is my guest in this portion of the show. He hasn't been on for a while. Be nice to meet up with him. He's going to talk about Syndrome S. Wonder what that's about. Well, if you had to guess, right? Well, we'll let him tell you. It comes up on the show a lot. I talk about it all the time. I just mentioned it a few moments ago when I was talking about, TATT, tired all the time. And it's a risk factor for fatigue because it takes a lot of energy is marshaled to take care of this issue that we're talking about, the mysterious S. And we invite you to participate in the conversation. We love it when you connect with us. We have any number of ways for you to do that. We even have an app, by the way. And here's Gary to tell you, we're giving you choices.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Or you can go locally anywhere in the world at 813-636-8255. On the app, there's three little buttons on our app. It's real simple. There's videos, there's offers, and there's contact. On the offer, there's a code on there, GARKO, G-A-R-K-O, all capital. You get $35 off or more at vitamindiscountcenter.com. That's an online store. But one of the things I thought's interesting about the app, it takes you automatically to contact Dr. Garko to his personal email.
There you go. And I do get emails, different things. People ask different questions or make different comments. They even want, wardrobe. You'd be amazed. What was that hat? What was that top? In addition to other, it's interesting because we stream. And of course, we stream throughout in North America, no doubt, Canada, U.S., but we stream on other continents. And we average about 30,000 on the stream every day. We have a company that launches the show up onto Facebook, YouTube, our website at letstalknutrition.com, and its own website. And it tells us where and how many people are streaming LTN. 30,000 a day. What's the math on that? Is that about 1 million a month?
About that a month.
It's close, right?
30 days past September, April, June, November, 4 cups equal a pint.
What are you doing, man? You're confusing
my math.
Oh, okay. Dr. Daniel Crisafi, he's an educator for Wakunaga of America. I've met Dr. Crisafi in person. We've talked a number of times. Hasn't been on for a good while. Daniel is his first name. Dr. Crisafi, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Long time no see.
It's nice to be back, Dr. Gargo.
How you doing, man?
Very, very well, actually. Apart from the weather here in Montreal that's excessively warm for this time of year, the rest is great. I mean, I'm in great shape and exercising and watching my diet and following a lot of patients and listening to your show occasionally or going on the web and looking at some of the information you're giving out.
Tell the listener and the viewer of Let's Talk Nutrition Coast to Coast and globally what you do for a living.
I'm a naturopathic doctor. I also have a PhD in biochemistry, so I see patients on a regular basis. I help them with their diet, their lifestyle, help to not just eliminate symptoms, but especially find the cause of the problem and help them adopt a healthy lifestyle that's going to ensure that they will live long and actively. And I'm the father of 4 young adults who, as far as I'm concerned, are still kids.
They always will be, Daniel.
Absolutely. And I've been practicing for about 35 years. I'm turning 61 this weekend.
Oh, happy birthday, man.
Thank you very much. And yeah, basically everything's doing well. And as you know, I'm a cancer survivor as well. So
what form of cancer did you have?
At the base of the urinary bladder.
Ooh.
40 years ago, actually, sometime in November, actually. Still around and kicking.
How many years ago?
41 years ago.
Wow.
Or 40 years ago, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was 21.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you knew that I had cancer. You found out, huh?
What was that?
Did you know I had cancer?
No.
Oh. Yeah, October the 5th was 1 year.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma of the cervical lymph nodes caused by HPV-16. And then in the PET scan, they found an incidental finding, found a small lesion on my lung. It was 2.3 centimeters. And it turned out to be adenocarcinoma, lung cancer, stage 1A. Both, but my oncologist said if you hadn't been infected with that virus probably decades ago that was living in the back of in the oropharyngeal area of my throat, he said, when I asked him, I said, how do you feel about this diagnosis now with lung cancer? I'm happy for you. And I said, why? He said, because if you hadn't had the cancer in your neck, nobody would have found that lesion on your lung. You would have been dead in 3 years.
Interesting. And you know that there's actually new research that shows that with squamous cell cancer, particularly in the neck, in the head, the esophagus, sugar has a major role to play once it's present to feed the cells. So, of course, because your diet doesn't have a huge amount or even what we would call a reasonable amount, which is not reasonable, of sugar, then you're on the, I'm sure you're on the right track for healing, definitely.
Well, it's a long journey, Daniel, but we'll talk about that some other day. Sure. I didn't know you were a cancer survivor.
Yes, and then again, 40 years, so...
That's good. Congratulations. You beat the odds, brother. Syndrome S. S doesn't mean silly or some expletive. S means?
S means stress.
You've sort of specialized in that now these days, haven't you?
I have, actually, and the reason that I've written a book called Syndrome S, the reason I talk a lot about it as I'm doing on your show, is that when we talk about stress, we all realize stress has a role to play, and it's involved in a variety of health problems, etc. But we don't realize that stress does have impacts on the body that, number one, we often don't associate with stress, and number two, impacts on the body that can last, symptoms that can last years and even decades once the stress is gone if we do nothing to correct them.
And when we talk about stress response, we're talking about the fight or flight response, right, Daniel?
Exactly. We have to bear in mind that until recently, until maybe last 150 years, when there was a stress, as a general rule, it brought on a fight or flight response. So, if your neighbor made noise at 3 o'clock in the morning, you would wake up and your body would be primed to take a baseball bat and solve the problem. We're not allowed to do that. Whatever the type of stress there was, the general reaction would be to fight or flee. So the body primes itself, prepares itself to fight or flee when there's stress, and not just if it's physical stress. It can be emotional, it can be chemical, it can be hormonal, it can be environmental. Anything that requires change or adaptation is a stress. And when that stress occurs, the body prepares itself to fight.
When you say change or adaptation with respect to?
It can be hormonal change or adaptation. It can be physical change or adaptation, dietary change or adaptation. And, of course, it can also be social or chemical. Consuming chemicals that your body's not used to does require the body to change what it's used to doing, to transform or to work on those. Again, that's a stress.
Mm-hmm. Early in our evolution, our ancient ancestors, the stress response was really a way for them to survive. And it was basic at that point, I suspect it was more of physical threats. As we evolved and we became more complicated and our brain became more complicated, then we had the ability to experience, unfortunately, I guess, psychological stress, psycho-emotional stress, right?
Absolutely. And, the creation of civilization.
Hold your thought. We'll be right back with Dr. Crisafi.
women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Crisafi is my guest today. Dr. Crisafi is a naturopathic physician or consultant in Montreal, Canada. And he wrote a book entitled, or his new book, Syndrome S for Stress, How to Avoid, Manage, and Reverse the Negative Health Effects of Stress. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. And stress is an energy consumer. It takes a lot of energy to mount and sustain the fight or flight response. It's just the way it is. And that's why when you're suffering from chronic stress, for example, you'll feel a lot of fatigue. That is a common symptom, isn't it, Dr. Crisafi, of stress? People just being tired all the time when they're under chronic stress, yes?
Absolutely. And they're tired for several reasons, but one of them is because the body always has this tension, this internal tension. It's prepared, it's mobilized for fight or flight. And the other one is that long-term, this fight or flight response, when it's continued, will actually have an impact on how the body controls blood sugar.
How so? How so?
Well, it does so in several ways, but the most important way, the two most important ways, is that stress hormones have an impact on the liver. Now, one of the roles of the liver is to retain sugar or glucose in the form of glycogen. And it's a store of energy, so that when you do have to fight or flee, your body or your liver will release, or your muscles as well, will release some of that sugar to ensure fight or flight. We do know that the stress hormone, cortisol, has a major impact on the liver. So, matter of fact, a large percentage of people who have what is called fatty liver or steatosis actually have a fatty liver caused not by alcohol, some do, but not by alcohol in many, many cases, but by stress. So stress has an impact on the liver, and through that it has an impact on the body's capacity to release sugar into the bloodstream when we need it. And the other impact is that one of the roles of the adrenal glands, or the stress glands, is to respond when your blood sugar starts dropping. And it is associated with the first reaction I just mentioned. So if your stress glands are tired and they don't react quickly enough, you feel that drop in blood sugar. An hour and a half, 2 hours after eating, you have this drop of energy, you have difficulty controlling it. And that, which we also call hypoglycemia, is often associated with how the stress glands function and the fact that they're tired out and not functioning properly.
I see. So just so we're clear, I make sure I understand what you said. You're in the fight or flight response mode. Your body is pumping out all these stress hormones. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, epinephrine, cortisol. Is it cortisol in particular that's affecting the liver? Is that and is it prohibiting the glucose release or inducing it? What is it doing?
So cortisol induces glucose release. It helps the body release sugar, and it's the one that has the greatest impact because it's the one that's associated with chronic stress. It's also the one that will be continually elevated. In other words, the body's going to start to produce more cortisol than it should when there's been a lot of stress, even for minor stresses. So, people will say, well, it's after having had a certain number of stressors in my life, I don't deal with stress as effectively as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I would, in the past, react for 5 minutes if somebody said something to me, and now it bothers me for 45 hours. So the stress response over time is affected. Cortisol is increased significantly, but over time, the stress glands get tired, and when they're tired, paradoxically, they overreact to certain stressors, and they don't react quickly enough when it is a normal physiological time to react.
And in the morning, cortisol levels should be higher than they are at night. But if you're under stress all day long, you build up an inventory of cortisol, which is sleep disrupts the sleep architecture, and then you get sleep deprived, which is stressful, and you see the vicious cycle, right?
It is an immense vicious cycle, and you're absolutely right. Cortisol reduces sleep response because if the body thinks it's in danger, let's face it, it's not a good thing to sleep deeply. If you're in a village that's surrounded by an enemy, sleeping too deeply might be an issue if the enemy breaks through.
So that's why it's biology, man. Right?
Well, it absolutely is, and that's why it's important for people to realize that their stress symptoms aren't just psychological. We generally give people antidepressants, we give them anxiolytics to reduce anxiety once they've had a lot of stress. But the point is, it is biochemical, it is biological, and we don't deal with that.
So you are a biochemist, are you?
I am.
What is define it in a word?
Well,
biochemistry is the study of?
The chemistry of life and of living beings.
Usually is that the course that's a flunk out course, got biochemistry, or is it organic? Oh, it's organic chemistry.
Chemistry.
That gets doctors in trouble in med school. Biochemistry.
Well, some of them don't like biochemistry either, but that's another issue.
But isn't biochemistry also, doesn't it become intimately involved in nutrition?
Well, absolutely. Actually, vitamins, minerals, trace elements, fatty acids, etc., are all biochemicals.
There you go.
They are part of life. They are required for life, and they sustain our life. They improve it, and so yes, they're definitely part of biochemistry.
Yeah, the Krebs cycle. All of that is right, and people forget that food is constituted of chemicals. We're talking about chemicals here. And supplements and food, these are chemicals. And, chemicals, when mixed together in the right way, when you have a combination, you have a compound, and it's nice and it works, that's great. But you can also blow up the lab, right, Dr. Crisafi?
Absolutely. We should think of our body in a certain way like a car. I mean, you wouldn't put the wrong gas in your car. You wouldn't put gas where you should be putting the oil and so on. But we do that from a nutritional point of view. We do it from a supplement point of view. And that's a major problem. We have to realize that we need the right biochemicals, the right vitamins, minerals, trace elements, fatty acids.
There you go. And that's why we're on the air, and that's why Dr. Crisafi is here. Syndrome S. We'll be back. We have more.
Are you suffering from the
Dr. Daniel Crisafi is my guest in this portion of the show today. And Dr. Crisafi is in Montreal, Canada. That's where he is, and that's where he lives, and that's where he has his practice. And he has been on the show before a number of times, and it's been a while. It's always nice to have him back. He wrote a book called it's entitled Syndrome S, How to Avoid, Manage, and Reverse the Negative Health Effects of Stress. Well, I guess the avoidance part would be I would go to Tibet and ask permission to get into a Buddhist monastery and do it that way, huh?
Well, that would probably be a stress as well, because you'd have to get used to the climate, used to the language, and probably have to, feel the remorse of leaving everybody that you love behind. So there's really no kind of change that isn't a stress.
In other words, that's the point. No escaping.
Absolutely. Life is a balance of stressors, and stress is not bad per se. Dr. Hans Selye, world-renowned researcher on stress, talked about two types of stress: distress, the bad stress, and eustress, the good stress. You exercise a lot, you know that exercise is a stress, but it's a good stress because it forces the body to adapt and improve itself. So there's good and there's bad stress, and we can't live in an environment that has no stress.
Exactly. And eustress is spelled E-U.
That's right, not Y-O-U, yes.
Right. You stress. Me stress. We all stress. Explain to the listener and the viewer why you cannot control stress. You can only manage it.
Well, you can't control it, again, because, number one, life is, as I mentioned, a balance of stressors, whether it's physical stress, exercise, or negative stressors, whether it's hormonal changes, whether it's environmental changes with the weather and so on, chemicals in the environment, and on and on and on. So all of these factors, number one, cannot be eliminated completely unless you decide to live in a bubble, and even that would be a stress for a variety of reasons. And so because you can't eliminate stress, the objective is to help the body deal with stress more effectively and be less damaged and less mortgaged by the stressors that we have.
Okay. In other words, what Dr. Crisafi is saying, you can't control Company X dropping metric tons of toxic chemicals into the environment. You can't control a lunatic boss. You can't control the traffic on the interstate. You can't. You see my point? That's why you don't control stress. You manage. What are you managing? You're managing your response to the stressor. So how does Kyolic aged garlic extract, which has made its reputation as a cardiovascular supplement, make its way into the conversation on stress?
Well, there's two ways. First, let me start with the second way, and the second way is that we do know that Kyolic has been shown. There's over 700 and some odd published articles on Kyolic, or published in over 700 different journals. The research shows that Kyolic does help to improve a lot of the factors that can be caused by stress, whether it's high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high blood pressure. Stress isn't the only factor causing those. But stress does cause insulin resistance, and so insulin resistance can lead to the high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, type 2 diabetes, etc. So aged garlic extract, or Kyolic, has been shown to significantly improve those factors.
So it's the downstream consequences of stress, is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. Now, the other thing that people don't realize with Kyolic aged garlic extract is that it has been shown to actually improve how the body reacts to stress itself. So not only reducing the consequences of stress, but actually helping the body manage when it's going through stress. So with stress or during stress, and the consequences of the stress itself are improved. And as an example, researchers at the Pasteur Institute in France, the institute does a lot of research on infectious agents, found that Kyolic helped to reduce anxiety. It had an anxiolytic effect. The other research showed it helped to improve serotonin levels. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter that helps to sleep, helps to relax, reduce anxiety and depression. So that's one example. The other one showed that when people were put under stress situations, those who were taking Kyolic actually had a significantly lower over or excessive reaction to the stressor. In other words, the body, instead of reacting like a chicken that's had its head cut off, was actually reacting in a much more proportionate way. It wasn't being, excuse the expression, but it wasn't being overstressed by the stress.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I'm not aware, frankly. I know a lot of the studies, because I've talked about kyolic for a long time, but the stress connection to kyolic, this is interesting to me. Wow.
Well, kyolic has done a lot of research on cardiovascular disease, of course,
for sure.
Also on liver function, etc. There hasn't been as much research on stress, but there has been some really interesting research, and some of it, interestingly, is actually accidental.
Yeah, exactly. And that often happens as a researcher. That I was studying one thing, collecting data, and then as I started to look at the data, I realized there were other things that emerged from the data.
Absolutely.
Happened. Yeah, I love that emergent. As in communication, there's an emergent quality. So too is there an emergent quality in research. 877-897-8255 will get you connected to Dr. Crisafi on LTN. Just as a sidebar here, the title of your company. What is the title?
PH. Santé Beauté.
What does that mean?
Santé is health in French, and beauté is beauty.
And the pH?
pH is for the pH, so the acid
potential for
balance.
Potential for hydrogen?
Exactly, hydrogen potential, exactly.
Explain that to the listener. They don't know what that means.
Well, the point with a pH is very simple. It's the way we measure, or it's the marker for measuring the acidity or the alkalinity of a liquid. And the point is, our body can be too acidic. It should be lightly alkaline. If it's too acidic, that can cause a variety of disturbances in the body because the body's got to release a lot of minerals, calcium, potassium, magnesium, to neutralize the acid. And, of course, it's taking those minerals in areas where they have a role to play. And so if the body's too acidic, we know it can be associated with osteoporosis. We know it can be associated with cardiovascular disease, etc.
So you're using, it's almost like pH here in the title of your company is like a metaphor for homeostasis.
It is definitely, that's a very good point, it is definitely a metaphor for homeostasis, for balance, for making sure that the body is balanced.
So santé is health, and how do you say the second word?
Beauté.
Beauté is beauty.
Beauté is beauty.
Yeah, balance and health and beauty.
Exactly.
All right, I'll send you a bill. I'm just, words mean. I'm just trying to figure it out. That's pretty clever, Dr. Crisafi. pH. All right. I said potential. I said pH. I said, who's pH? I said, I wonder if he means potential for hydrogen. Sure enough, I got it. I told you he was smart. We'll come back. We'll have the LTN health question of the day, and we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Crisafi.
Are your joints feeling out of date and stiff? Is that old sports injury flaring up? Is your body aching from the daily wear and tear at work? Body Vigor's Joint Ready keeps you at the ready for any joint pain that gets out of line. Unfortunately, as we age, joint pain becomes more common. Body Vigor's Joint Ready can help provide relief so you can continue to go about your day. Our formula contains sulfated forms of glucosamine and chondroitin. Studies show that these sulfated forms are more effective than regular glucosamine bound to hydrochloride. Joint Ready promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates cartilage synthesis, and provides additional antioxidants. Keep your joints at the ready with Body Vigor's Joint Ready, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN. Oh, my cord. Here's the LTN health question of the day. So Dr. Crisafi wrote a book, and I mentioned it several times. All right? So the first, and as with a lot of good books, it has a title, and then there's a colon, and then the rest of the title. So what is the first part of the book called? Is it called Syndrome X, Syndrome S, or Syndrome Y? What's the first part of the title of Dr. Crisafi's book? Syndrome X, Syndrome S, or Syndrome Y? Here's the number to call. If you have the right answer, this is easy. You'll win a $25 supplement gift card, and do it this way.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
So, Dr. Crisafi, you're a professional, and you have your consulting and whatnot. You got a life. You got responsibility. You're not stress free, are you?
By hopefully not, because if I was stress free, I'd be dead. So no, I'm not. And even though I do try to control the bad stressors, there's always those stressors around, whether you like it or not. So no, I'm not stress free at all.
What do you think is the most important strategy to manage stress? One of the most important.
The first is to realize that the effects of stress you may be getting are physical and biochemical. They're not essentially psychological. And then to work on those causes. So the first, I think, is awareness of the situation, of what stress is, what it does, to be able to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the idea of the simple little strategy of breathing from your diaphragm?
Excellent. The point we have to bear in mind is that the value of a substance for the body is inversely proportionate to the amount of time we can live without it. In other words, the longer we can live without something, the less important it is. Oxygen is the most important substance, nutrient in the body, because you can only live a few minutes without breathing. So improving breathing, and especially improving that dynamic breathing you're mentioning through the stomach or the belly breathing, is very, very important in helping the body adapt to stress, for sure. It helps to control the autonomic nervous system. It helps to calm the body globally. And, of course, it helps to improve oxygen levels. And we can only live, as I mentioned earlier, a few minutes without breathing and without oxygen.
Mm-hmm. And going back now to the kyolic age garlic extract, so it helps in two ways. It helps moderate some of the downstream consequences of stress, but it also conditions the body to how can I put this, to initiate that, to engage in the stress response in a more efficient, effective way. Did I misinterpret you?
No, that's exactly right on. So basically, the aged garlic extract does reduce a lot of the symptoms we associate with stress, immune symptoms as well. We know that stress does reduce the immune system's capacity, and the kyolic does improve immunity, cardiovascular disease we talked about. But one of the ideas of the use of kyolic that again came out almost accidentally in research is that it helps the body manage or deal with stress biochemically, physiologically, much, much, much better.
Better. Let's go to St. Petersburg, Florida. Tom, welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. It's great to have you on. I promise I will try not to raise any stress levels for you.
Okay. I raise my own enough.
I'm sure we all do. It's all, by the way, there's an old saying, all the stress we experience is self-induced, in that we should be able to control our response to it. Nevertheless, what's the title of Dr. Crisafi's book, at least the first part of it? Is it Syndrome X, Syndrome S, or Syndrome Y?
Syndrome S.
S for stress. Exactly. Syndrome S, how to avoid, manage, and reverse the negative health effects of stress. Congratulations. You won a $25 gift card, supplement gift card. How do you manage? What do you think is the best way for you to manage stress? What works for you, Tom?
I try to clear my mind. I try to relax. I've taken a lot of self-hypnosis, and I remember, that it tells you to just start relaxing all parts of your body. So I maybe it's kind of like meditation. I close my eyes and just kind of let everything level out.
That's good.
So that helps me a lot.
Oh, that's great.
Reasoning with yourself too. You could talk to yourself. I do that a lot. And just reasoning with yourself, like, what are you doing, this too shall pass and all this stuff, that helps.
No, I get it. No, the self-talk is very important, that dialogue in your head. That's hypnosis and self-hypnosis, legitimate therapy. It's used in psychology and psychiatry a lot, and that's great that you do that. So you found a way for you to deal with it. That's great. And I appreciate you calling the show today, and I appreciate you listening, and congratulations on winning
Okay, thanks, Dr. Garko.
My pleasure. There you go. How about that, Dr. Crisafi? Hypnosis, huh?
Hypnosis and self-talk. And self-talk's an interesting point because a lot of people are told that they've got psychological problems, anxiety, depression. But when you talk to yourself and try to control your reaction, it's not psychological. If it was psychological, you wouldn't know your reaction is abnormal. So to your listeners, I'm suggesting that if you do have problems like anxiety and depression, and you do try to talk yourself out of it, it means that it's not mental or psychological, it's physiological, maybe induced by stress, and helping to work on your diet, kyolic age garlic, other nutrients will help your body deal with stress more effectively.
Yeah, the kyolic age garlic extract, in the way that Dr. Crisafi explained and how it gets implicated in the stress response, in moderating the downstream effects of stress, several of them, many of them, and also making your stress response more efficient, more effective. It does it in that way as well. Dr. Crisafi, thanks for stopping by again. It's nice to see you on the radio once again. Hope I get to see you in person soon at some trade show or conference or wherever.
Well, it was nice being back on your show.
You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll do it again. And again, listen, manage the stress. You can't control it. It's part of life. It comes, it just comes with this existence. And it's how we deal with it, ultimately. You want to deal with it effectively because your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you.